challenge from the People's Republic of China while also confronting the acute threat of Russian aggression and managing the risk of escalation as President Putin's cruel war against Ukraine enters a second year. We must also defend against and deter threats from Iran, North Korea, and global terrorist organizations, even while we grapple with 21st century transnational challenges such as climate change. Finally, the Department of Defense will continue to modernize the joint force and out-innovate our competitors. Secretary Austin concludes the message by expressing his thanks and appreciation to all members of the Department of Defense for what they do every day to meet our sacred obligation to defend the American people. Separately, as announced earlier this week, Secretary Austin will depart this weekend on a planned multi-day visit to the Middle East region with locations that include Jordan, Egypt, and Israel. The Secretary is looking forward to his discussions with leaders in the region, which are intended to support and strengthen our partnerships and enhance cooperation. In other news, the Secretary will attend the Medal of Honor ceremony tomorrow for retired Army Colonel Paris Davis for his acts of bravery as a commander during the Vietnam War. President Biden will present the award to Colonel Davis during a ceremony at the White House. Colonel Davis commanded American Special Forces as well as an inexperienced South Vietnamese company against a large North Vietnamese force June 17 through 18th, 1965. The Medal of Honor event will take place at 11:30 a.m. at the White House, and the Army will subsequently conduct a Hall of Heroes induction ceremony on March 6 at 10 a.m. in the Pentagon Auditorium, with remarks by the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Army, and Chief of Staff of the Army. Finally, Army leadership will unveil the Army's new brand campaign, at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, March 8th from 9 to 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time in support of service recruiting and retention efforts. Afterwards, Army senior leaders will participate in an on-camera media event from 9:45 to 10:15 a.m. The event will feature soldiers from the campaign, the celebrity narrator of the brand campaign films, and other Army staff central to the new brand, all of whom will be available for interviews. Transportation to the event will be provided to members of the Pentagon Press Corps departing from the river entrance at 8 a.m. and will return immediately following the event. And a bus will be available for all Pentagon Press Corps. Please contact Army Media Relations for additional information. And with that, we'll get to your questions. We'll start with Lita, AP.
Thanks, Pat. Does the U.S. believe that Ukraine is responsible for any of the recent over-border into Russia skirmishes?
Muy buenas noches. Bueno, ya ven que ha comenzado esa rueda de prensa del general dando explicaciones, en este caso sobre las Fuerzas Armadas que despliegan, sobre quiénes son los miembros entrenados por las Fuerzas Aéreas Americanas. Y ahora justo le han preguntado por Ucrania, vamos a escuchar su respuesta y les vamos detallando.
Does the U.S. believe that anyone other than Ukraine is doing them?
Again, I'd refer you to Ukraine to talk about their operations. I cannot corroborate those reports in terms of what we've seen in the press, but yeah.
Have you seen any indications that Russia is doing it themselves?
Again, I don't have any information to corroborate.
Bueno, de momento no responde mucho. Lo que está diciendo el general está hablando sobre esos ataques en los que Vladimir Putin ha denunciado que cerca de su frontera en Briansk, en la región de Briansk, se han producido una serie de combates donde militares ucranianos han cruzado la frontera en esa región. Ucrania ha dicho que estas afirmaciones son una provocación para impulsar el apoyo a la guerra contra Ucrania y niega que haya cruzado nadie la frontera. Dicen desde Rusia que cruzaron la frontera y abrieron fuego contra civiles que estaban en un vehículo. Eso ha asegurado Vladimir Putin en distintos comentarios al comienzo de una conferencia hace apenas unas horas. Desde Ucrania se asegura que esto es un montaje. Estados Unidos, de momento, lo único que está diciendo es no sé quién está detrás, no sé si es un montaje y no sé si es Rusia. No entro en eso. Lo que está diciendo el general, el secretario de prensa del Pentágono es que lo que sí sabe es que no ha sido Ucrania. Volvemos con él.
The United States is discussing with South Korea to purchase additional ammunition from South Korea. Are there any other weapons purchases beside ammunition?
So, Janie, I don't have anything new to announce beyond what we've talked about previously. As you know, the United States has been discussing with South Korea the possibility of purchasing ammunition from South Korean industry. But beyond that, I don't have anything new to provide.
North Korea, you have probably seen this report too, that North Korea has announced it is ready to target USFK bases in major city in South Korea. What is the Secretary Austin's reaction on this?
Let me just make sure I
Están
understand your
preguntando ahora
question.
por la
You're saying
situación
that
en
North
Corea
Korea
del
has said they're going to
Sur,
target
perdón, en Corea del
USFK
Norte,
bases.
sobre si de verdad están capacitados para
Again, I
atacar alguna otra zona
I
de
have not
Corea o
seen
incluso
those
algún
reports.
portaaviones,
We've
algún
been
envío
very clear
estadounidense
that we will
responde a esto
continue
en
to
general.
work closely with the Republic of Korea and our partners and allies in the region to safeguard not only the South Korea, but our own forces, as well as our allies and our partners in the region. I think we've been very clear that any type of provocative reaction or action will be dealt with appropriately, and we'll stay in close consultation again with our allies and partners on that.
Because recently North Korea launched the Hwasong ICBM and also another very the dangerous rocket launchers. So after that, they announced that they will target 4 different U.S. bases targeted. So
Yeah.
I hope you.
Again, that type of rhetoric is irresponsible, destabilizing. But again, our focus is on preserving a peaceful, secure, and stable Indo-Pacific region, and we'll continue to work closely with our allies and partners toward that end. Let me go to Fadi.
Thank you.
Bueno, pues de momento se limita
I
a
have
no
two separate
entrar
questions.
en
So the
distintas
first one on the trip
apreciaciones en
to
lo que piensa o deja de pensar él mismo o el ejército americano. Lo que sí está indicando el general, el jefe de prensa del Pentágono, es que respecto a Corea del Norte no están haciendo muchas valoraciones. Por supuesto, están preparados para responder a cualquier tipo de eventualidad que se pueda producir allí porque su objetivo es garantizar, dicen, la seguridad en esa región del Pacífico. Volvemos hasta allí.
deliver to your Israeli allies. And then on the previous questions on the Ukrainian attacks across the border, especially in Belarus, I mean, tracking the weapon shipments to Ukraine is an issue here in the U.S. Are you able to say whether or not U.S.-made drones or U.S.-provided drones were used in the reported attack inside of Belarus?
Yeah, thanks, Fadi. So on your first question, a couple of things. As you know, Secretary Austin spoke to his Israeli counterpart on recently, February 24th, and during that discussion, underscored not only our steadfast commitment to Israel's security and its right to defend itself from terrorism, but also the importance and encouragement of the de-escalation of tensions in the West Bank. And so really from a U.S. standpoint, that is our focus right now, is continuing to work with Israel, the Palestinians, and regional partners to de-escalate those tensions and restore calm in the region. After our visit, I'm sure we'll have a readout to provide with more details. In terms of your questions about Ukraine and the alleged or reported drone strikes, a couple things. I have seen some press reporting from Russian officials, first of all, alleging that the U.S. was somehow providing information to enable these types of attacks. What I would tell you, first of all, is, again, I don't have any information in regards to whether or not the Ukrainians have conducted these type of operations. I'd refer you to them. I can say definitively that the notion of the U.S. providing intelligence or information to the Ukrainians to target locations inside Russia is nonsense. We are not at war with Russia, nor do we seek war with Russia. Our focus is purely on supporting Ukraine to defend.
Bueno, me permitan la interrupción porque ya está diciendo bastante. Sobre Palestina, si les parece, obviamos la cuestión porque hablan simplemente de implementar las fuerzas de seguridad, de proteger los bordes, pero le vuelven a preguntar qué ha pasado esta mañana. Dice Vladimir Putin que soldados ucranianos han cruzado la frontera y en la región de Briansk han disparado a civiles. Hablaba de un ataque directo contra civiles rusos. Desde Ucrania se ha negado esta información y se ha dicho que era un montaje y que lo que pretendía era justificar un asalto mayor o una nueva propaganda por parte de Rusia. Hasta aquí los dos contendientes le preguntan al general, al secretario de prensa del Pentágono, bueno, y por qué está Estados Unidos dando esta explicación ahora mismo. Y dice que porque siempre la dan, porque es uno de sus principales aliados, porque le está dando soporte. Dice, nosotros no estamos en guerra con Rusia, acaba de decir, pero seguiremos dando soporte a Ucrania y en eso pretendemos también hacer saber que según nuestros servicios de inteligencia y según lo que conoce el Pentágono, no ha sido Ucrania quien haya podido perpetrar esos ataques contra civiles rusos en la región de Briansk. ¿Y entonces quién? Pues la inteligencia del Pentágono o no llega hasta ahí o no quieren que llegue, como ustedes lo quieran interpretar, que son siempre ustedes más inteligentes que nosotros y que un servidor, desde luego. Pero lo que dice el general es que, bueno, ellos no han sido, saben que los ucranianos tampoco y que no pueden dar más información, más detalles, porque desconocen si es un montaje, si ha sido obra de un tercero o qué ha podido ocurrir, pero sí asegura que Ucrania no ha sido quien ha llevado a cabo ese ataque. Vamos a volver hasta allí, vamos a ver si responde más preguntas al respecto, aunque está siendo bastante directo en las contestaciones al decir que no ha sido Ucrania y que no va a dar más información. Vamos a ver si da más de sí esta rueda de prensa del Pentágono.
We've talked about our end use monitoring. Again, we're very confident in the procedures and processes that we put in place to track and manage those things. Again, I'm not going to talk about investigations about alleged activities that may or may not have happened in Belarus or other locations. Again, our focus is on giving Ukraine the capabilities that they need to fight inside Ukraine to defend their sovereign territory. Thank you.
Also, on there is an IAEA report about Iran that Iran has enriched uranium up to 83.7% of purity. We see that the talks have stalled in Vienna. Are there any military options on table currently as Iran continues to enrich uranium?
Yeah, I don't have anything to talk to specifically. As you know, we are a planning organization. We take into account a wide variety of situations. But I think right now what you're seeing is a more of an emphasis on the diplomatic side of things. Of course, our presence in the region, are continuing to work with our partners and our allies in the region to deter aggression will continue. But again, I don't have any specific military actions or options that I would speculate on or talk about. So thank you. Let me go to Rio.
Ya se lo estoy diciendo yo, que no va a dar grandes explicaciones. Sobre Irán, bueno, pues la relación diplomática ahora es mejor que hace unos meses, sobre todo cuando se hablaba de ese tratado de armas nucleares, y de momento no pasa de ahí. Que tienen una serie de informaciones y una serie de cuestiones que, como puede comprender, le dice al periodista, pertenecen a un documento interno y a lo que piensa el propio Pentágono. Claro, faltaría más, pero es que si montas una rueda de prensa suele ser para decir algo. En fin, vamos otra vez hasta allí y a ver si termina por decir precisamente eso, alguna cuestión.
Come back to your second question because I want to make sure I fully understand. On your first question in regards to joint patrols, I don't have any specific joint patrols to announce. I will say that we are heartened by the discussions that Manila is having with two of our closest allies in the region, Australia and Japan, on the topic of combined operational activities in the maritime domain. And so we're committed to expanding cooperation both bilaterally and multilaterally with allies, to include the Philippines, Australia, and Japan, that share our vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific. And then on your second question, I'm sorry.
My second question was whether or not this potential joint patrol is a response to China recently directing a military-grade laser at Philippine vessel.
Yeah, again, nothing to announce on that. I would say, broadly speaking, Rio, our activities in the region contribute to what we've talked about many times before, which is ensuring security, stability, peace throughout the region, working with our allies and partners to ensure that countries can continue to sail the international seas, fly the international airways, and operate anywhere that international law allows. Thank you. Right, let me go back here.
Bueno, pues eso, que le preguntan, ya están un poco saliendo de Ucrania, parece que los propios periodistas o quienes preguntan están un poco tirando la toalla al respecto de si consiguen averiguar lo ocurrido a lo largo de este mediodía en esa frontera en la región de Briansk, donde, para los que os incorporáis ahora, algunos que estáis preguntando en el chat, Vladimir Putin ha denunciado en una conferencia en televisión que militares armados ucranianos han tiroteado a varios vehículos con civiles rusos. Dice Ucrania que eso es un montaje y el Pentágono sale a explicar que no ha sido Ucrania, pero no ha explicado nada más, insisto. Ahora le andan preguntando también qué hacen algunos de los patrulleros de los barcos cerca de las zonas de Corea del Norte o incluso cerca de las fronteras con China. Dice el secretario de prensa del Pentágono, el general de las Fuerzas Aéreas, que esto tiene que ver con dar seguridad a sus aliados y que para nada es un elemento de confrontación, que justo al contrario pretenden proteger la zona, una zona que quieren que continúe siendo pacífica, valga la redundancia, en el Pacífico. Le escuchamos.
Of an invasion of Taiwan.
Yeah, so Senator said so, but I understand that Secretary Austin didn't say so. But do you have?
He did not say. He's been on the record just very recently saying again he does not see an imminent threat of invasion by China of Taiwan. But again, we're going to stay focused on supporting our allies and our partners in the region to deter aggression and preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific and peace and security and stability in the region. Thank you. Okay, let me go back over here.
General, I have two questions. One of them I follow with my colleagues. Chinese officials today said that they are oppose the recent U.S. approval of $619 million in military aid to Taiwan, saying that it violates the self-ruled island and raises tensions in the region. How do you respond on that? And do you have any concerns about any military escalation could be happened in the area?
Well, so first of all, the United States support to Taiwan and self-defense capabilities contribute to the maintenance of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and within the region. And of course, this is all in accordance with the Taiwan Relations Act. And as you highlight, this week, the Defense Security Cooperation Agency delivered congressional notification on the possible sales of F-16 munitions and related equipment to the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office. But I'd refer you to State Department for further details on that.
My second question, today there is a meeting.
Bueno, en realidad es grave esto que le están preguntando ahora, ¿eh? Le preguntan por si han enviado ayuda e incluso ayuda militar a Taiwán. Y si esto tiene que ver con que con la denuncia de varios funcionarios chinos en el día de hoy, desde la administración de Xi Jinping, diciendo que efectivamente eso está ocurriendo y que Estados Unidos está ayudando a a armar en cierta medida a Taiwán y a protegerlo. De no se sabe muy bien qué, dicen en China. Responde el general de las Fuerzas Aéreas, el secretario de prensa del Pentágono, que efectivamente están ayudando a Taiwán como un aliado, pero que están preparados para su autodefensa si es que ocurriera algo, que no es lo que está pretendiendo nadie, ni siquiera Estados Unidos dice que nadie pretende que haya ningún problema con Taiwán, simplemente lo consideran un aliado de Estados Unidos. Importante también esta decisión del general y estas palabras, porque ya no solo es desmentir o apoyar a Ucrania, ya es meterse también en el charco de Taiwán directamente, con los dos pies.
China is doing these unsafe activities. Are they becoming more brazen, more dangerous, and are they happening more often? What's the trend? What do you see in this?
Thanks, Jim. There has been an uptick in terms of particularly when it comes to the air of these types of activities. Secretary Austin personally spoke to his counterpart back in November when we were in Cambodia on this topic. But again, what you're seeing here is a broader pattern of activities that represent not only unprofessional behavior, but also encroachment, coercion, and lack of transparency that's problematic. And so again, we're not seeking any type of conflict with China, but we do want to ensure that, as I highlighted before, that nations can continue to have faith in their sovereign borders, that they can sail in international waters, fly in international skies, and operate wherever international law allows. Thank you. We go back to Peter.
Hey, thanks very much. Can you give us just an update of the battlefield situation in Ukraine, particularly morale on both sides, territorial gains and losses? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. So I'm not going to provide an operational update per se from the podium here. What I can say, broadly speaking, is we continue to see intense fighting near Bakhmut. Russian forces and Wagner mercenaries continue to press their attacks around Bakhmut, and Ukrainian forces continue to hold the line there.
Bueno, continúa el general, el secretario de prensa del Pentágono, ahora dando explicaciones sobre la situación militar armada en Ucrania. Dice que no quiere dar excesivos detalles sobre las distintas operaciones, pero explica que, bueno, que se está conteniendo a los soldados y algunos comandos, Wagner, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Está contando la situación de Bakhmut, que conocemos desde hace días, y todo lo que ocurre en la zona. Insisto, ha evitado por completo explicar, o no lo sabe, o lo ha evitado explicar, quién ha hecho el ataque o si es un montaje ruso, si lo que piensa Estados Unidos es que es un montaje de Rusia, a los civiles en la frontera de Briansk esta mañana, en esa región de Briansk, esta mañana, este mediodía, que Vladimir Putin atribuye a militares ucranianos. Esto respecto de Ucrania, respecto de Taiwán, se ha pronunciado también diciendo que todo lo que están enviando y todo lo que hacen por Taiwán es por respeto a uno de sus aliados. Preguntabais alguno en el chat, ¿qué pasa con una sola China? Pues eso es lo que quieren saber los chinos. Efectivamente, ¿qué pasa con ese tratado de una sola China y en el que estaba además inmerso Taiwán? Yo qué sé. Vamos a ir para allá. De nuevo, vamos a ver si da alguna explicación más. En todo caso, les recuerdo que en unos minutos cesaremos y nos iremos al cierre de Wall Street, donde les ampliaremos toda esta información en el canal en directo de Negocios Televisión, donde nos encontramos habitualmente. Volvemos hasta esa rueda de prensa.
And so does dual use, can that also mean non-lethal drones that we can purchase off the internet?
Again, I'm not going to speculate about what it may or may not mean. Thank you. We'll go back over here.
Thank you for taking my question. This is about Ukraine. The Ukrainians have been asking for cluster munition, but the use of such munitions would be very controversial. Is it something that DoD or US would consider seriously, or do you rule out immediately to provide?
Yeah,
this kind
so in terms of munitions, again, I'm not going to speculate about what we may or may not provide. We work very closely with the Ukrainians and our allies and partners to assess, to get Ukraine's feedback on what it is they need, and then go through a very rigorous process in terms of ensuring that we're able to provide what we can as quickly as we can. But I don't have anything to announce regarding the potential use of cluster munitions. Thank you. All right, we got time for one more question. Back here.
Thank you, General. Let me just ask one follow-up on about.
Insisto que parece que no va a decir mucho más, ¿eh? Está empeñado el personal a intentar sacarle algo acerca de qué ha podido ocurrir allí. Dice que no va a entrar en especulaciones sobre lo que ha podido ocurrir, pero que sabe que no ha sido Ucrania. Y ya está, no entra en más. Insisto, no creo que dé mucho más de sí esta rueda de prensa ya. Si les parece a todos ustedes, y con esta última pregunta van a cerrar, nosotros también lo hacemos. Nos marchamos, como es habitual, al canal de Negocios Televisión, donde allí en ese canal podrán encontrarnos en ese cierre de Wall Street, como cada noche, a partir de nada, 3 minutos, en ese cierre a las 8 de la tarde. Un saludo.